Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Snak here with you with another Microsoft Flight Simulator flight instruction video. If you watched my last video, I was using the call sign Wollo51, but we scrapped that. Going with Snak from now on. That was the first nickname I was given as a military pilot. So the goal here is to get to 1,000 subscribers. If you can help me get there, I'll tell you the story about how I got the nickname Snak. And until then, enjoy today's video. We're going to be doing a little bit of IFR flying, so hope you enjoy. So today we are in a Cessna 172, and we've got the Garmin G1000 glass cockpit in here. And we're going to do this today because I'm in Enterprise, Alabama. And we've got the live weather on. Let's take a look on, so I've got my ForeFlight up here. Let's take a look and see what the radar's got for us. Definitely like a nasty cell moving our way from the south here. So our goal today is to take off and fly instruments to Troy Municipal at Kenneth Campbell Field. All right, so we're going to take off from Enterprise, which is just a small Class Echo airport where we're at right now. And you can see the clouds are brewing. It's not looking too hot, but we're probably going to punch into the clouds and we'll fly instruments all the way to Troy. And also what we're going to do today is, instead of just flying GPS, we're going to go ahead and use some of the ground-based nav aids. So we'll be flying the NDB. So we have the Boll Weevil NDB right here. Let's turn this radar off. And then we've got the Blood NDB. And that also happens to be, I believe, our initial approach fix for the ILS 7. So real quick, what we're going to do now is just a quick run-up. So one of the hardest things about flying instruments is understanding your nav aids, right? Okay, we got everything on, everything's looking good. Okay, so right here, this is my primary flight display. You can see I've got my HSI right here, my horizontal situation indicator, and it's basically just a compass, right? That's going to kind of move around wherever I need it to go. So right here, you can see it says VOR1. That's very high frequency omnidirectional range, all right? And that is just a ground-based nav aid. We can also put in a localizer frequency into that. So you see right here, I'm not going to need any VORs to navigate there. We're just going to be using some NDBs along the way. So in my VOR, I'm going to go ahead and put in the localizer frequency. And that's what I'm going to use on my final approach into Troy. So it says it's 108.9. I'm probably not going to be able to pick it up from way out here, but that's okay. So I'm going to use this little nav knob here, and that's going to change it into the standby frequency. So there's 108.9, and now I'll just hit this little swap button, and it swaps it over to the current frequency. So as I said, there's nothing there, right? Because we're just not picking it up yet. We're gonna have to get into the air and get a little bit closer, and then we'll start to pick up that nav aid. Because this is a ground-based radio navigational aid, right? Also, our course is set to 000. We can't forget when we get inbound, the inbound course for this ILS is going to be a 074, right? So we could, oh, there's my barometric altimeter. Let's not change that. We could go ahead and get it kind of preset. There it is, 074. Okay, and then let's put up some bearing pointers. Let's go up, we'll go PFD here, bearing pointer 1. We'll put up BVG, so that's already in the GPS, but we're not really going to use GPS today. So it says ADF, all right? ADF is our automatic direction finder, and that picks up frequencies from the non-directional beacons. All right, so let me hide this plate here. Go ahead. So the first nav aid is the Boll Weevil NDB, and that has a frequency of 352. So let's tune that in. 352, and then when I hit enter, it's going to say enter to transfer, and they'll transfer that to my active NDB. All right. So now I close this. And as soon as I take off, I should see a little arrow, right? A little blue needle that's going to be pointing to that NDB. And for me, that's going to be somewhere like about a 300 heading, right? So somewhere 300, 310. And actually, I can tell you exactly what it's going to look like on my nav log. To get to the Bullweevil MDB, it's going to be a 301 heading, all right? And that's going to change just slightly depending on where we decide to take off from. Okay, so now my nav aids are all pretty much set up, all right? So now I'm going to go ahead and set up my flight director. So we'll turn flight director on. You see we get some indications here, all right? We're going to go heading hold, and I'm going to put the heading hold on about a 301 for now. So you see as I smooth this knob, my little heading bug is moving, and it gives me an actual exact bug here. All right, so 301. And I also want altitude. I'm going to move my altitude reference to 4,000 feet because that's what we're cruising at. So there we go, 4,000 feet. And then I'm going to need a way to get up there. This is almost like an altitude pre-select. So I need some kind of vertical speed to get up there. I could just do it manually and fly up there, but I'm just going to hit vertical speed, and then nose up is going to start to change my vertical speed in hundreds of feet per minute. So we'll start out with, let's do 6. That sounds good. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is get my IFR clearance, all right? So it says, let's see, tune to Cairns approach. Let's see if that's accurate. We'll come over here. Cairns approach 133.45, okay? So now we're actually gonna come to our radio. A big knob for the first 3 digits, 133, and then little knob for the last 3 digits, 133.45. So again, I'm putting this in the standby frequency, and then when I'm ready, I can just swap it over, like that. Now at this point, I would call clearance delivery. I probably wouldn't be able to get them on the ground. So at a small Class Echo airport like this, there's a couple ways that you can kind of skin this cat. You can actually call 1-800 Weather Brief and open up, get a clearance and open up an IFR flight plan on the phone. Which is really great in a general aviation aircraft. If you have a headset like the one I'm wearing, the Bose A20, it's got Bluetooth, and you can actually hook it up to your iPhone or whatever it is, even your iPad if you have data, and then you can call up 1-800 Weather Brief. You can call clearance delivery. You can get a clearance from the phone, right? But in this case, in the simulator, it will let us do it from the ground here. So. Let's see, request IFR clearance. Now when I request my clearance, I'm going to be ready to copy my clearance, and on ForeFlight it has this handy little note thing here. It's for the CRAFT acronym here, and the C stands for cleared to. Where are we cleared to? The route is going to be usually as filed, but they might give us something else. A is for altitude, F is for the departure frequency we're going to talk on, and then T is my transponder code they're going to give us so they can track us on their radar. So go ahead and request IFR clearance here.
Cairns approach Cessna Whiskey Oscar Lima Oscar 51 IFR to Troy, ready to copy.
Cessna Whiskey Oscar Lima Oscar 51 is cleared to Troy Airport as filed. Climb and maintain 4,000 feet. Departure frequency is 133 decimal for 5 squawk 026 Clearance void 30 minutes from now.
All right, so I got my clearance, and then I would read that back to them.
Cessna Whiskey Oscar Lima Oscar 51 cleared to Troy Airport as filed. Climb and maintain 4,000 feet.
Guess this is my co-pilot reading this back.
Departure is 133 decimal 45 squawk 026 Clearance void 30 minutes from now.
Cessna Oscar 51, read that correct. Good day.
Okay, so that means I got 30 minutes to get my stuff together and get off the ground here, all right, and start my flight plan. There's a few things I need to do first. First, I want to know what the local weather reporting is here at Enterprise. So they have an AWOS, Automated Weather Observation System, and that frequency right here is 118.9. So I'm going to tune that into, I'm going to put that in column 2 here. Oops. 118.9. And then I should be able to get on my scratch pad and get some ASOS, or AWOS. Oh yeah, I gotta turn on COM 2 so I can listen to it.
Kilo Echo Delta November, automated weather observation 1600 Zulu. Wind 184 at 5. Visibility 10 in heavy rain. Sky condition, ceiling 1,900 feet overcast. Temperature 24C, dew point 10C, altimeter 3009er.
Alright, cool. So now that's just going to keep playing. I'll hit COM so I don't have to listen to that anymore. Alright. So it's saying winds are 184 at 5 knots. So typically I want to try my best to take off into that wind, but 5 knots is kind of negligible, so I'm not too concerned with it. Visibility is good, but heavy rain. They said overcast at 1,900. Okay, so that's an AGL figure. Let's come down, and he says the altimeter setting was 3009. So I'm going to change my barometric altimeter right here, and you'll see my altimeter setting is going to change. Oops, I just moved the course. Oh man. Okay, let's try this again. There we go. 3009. All right. The airfield elevation at Enterprise is supposed to be 361, and that's reading like 358. All right, so that's pretty darn close. All right, and now I'm going to adjust my standby altimeter just to match up the altimeter, the altitude that I have reading on my digital display here. All right, so everything should be good there. So my choices for takeoff are 23 or 05. All right, so given that winds are 184, I'll probably take off 23. And before I forget, let's go back to my craft here. So I've already got 133.45 tuned in this frequency. I'm going to put the CTAF frequency in. That's going to be 122.8, I believe. Yeah, there we go, 122.8. So CTAF is the Common Traffic Advisory Frequency, and there's no tower here, right? Enterprise is a pretty small little airport. It's not big enough for a control tower. So the CTAF is where we talk to the other pilots, all right, and let them know what we're going to do. So now I have that on standby. Sorry, I have approach on standby. My departure frequency is on standby, so I'll call them when I climb out. But right now, I'm talking on CTAF. That's why that's in the green. I'm talking on CTAF, and then I can talk to all the other pilots around here and let them know, hey, what I'm doing, and if anybody's taking off on any particular runway. But I'm not hearing anybody, so I don't think there's going to be anybody here. It's pretty much like we have the whole place to ourselves, so sweet. Let's see, last thing is I need to put my transponder code in. So I'm going to come down here, go to XPDR, that's for transponder, and then code, and it says 0263 is what she told me. 0263, and that's it. There's no enter or anything like that. Just type the code in. I'm going to go back, and I want it to be on altitude reporting. All right, this is also known as mode C, and that way air traffic control can track where I am, but they can also track how high I am and clear out other traffic out of my way. All right, so I am pretty much ready to go. I'm going to go taxi to the active and take off. And let's see, I'm taking off. I said we were taking off 23. So basically, I can kind of draw this out for you. I'm going to taxi to the approach end right here. And then we'll take off runway 23, and then we'll climb out, and then we'll intercept this course here. Really, we're just going to head direct to the Bullweevil NDB. Now, something cool is going to happen when we get there, because we're going to have to navigate from the Bullweevil NDB up to the Blood NDB without GPS. So we'll show you how that works here in a second. All right. Let's select a runway for takeoff. We said 23 is going to be our runway. Cool. And then announce taxi.
Kilo Echo Delta November traffic Cessna Whiskey Oscar Lima Oscar 51 is taxiing to runway 23.
All right, so this dude's going to have to get out of my way. Release my park and brake. And then let's see, I'll just come straight forward and then turn right and follow that taxiway. Alright, so let's watch this dude get wrecked by this wing here. Dead. Some things in the simulator you just can't avoid. So I'll stop here, I'll check left, check right, make sure everybody's out of my way. All right, so if you're a novice, what I'm doing right here is I'm just controlling the aircraft heading with my pedals. All right, right here. That's what's steering me. It's kind of the opposite of a car, right? You're using your hand for the throttle, and then you're using your pedals to steer yourself. And I've also got these toe brakes here. I can slow myself down, going kind of fast. So the right sight picture for Cessna should be right in the middle of our PFD right here, right on the line. Let's see what it looks like from the outside. Let's see if I'm right on the line. I should be. Oh yeah, look at that. Looking good. Now, this runway is pretty long. I could easily take off mid-field in this airplane. But the smart and prudent thing to do is to go all the way to the approach end here, give myself the most amount of runway to take off from. That way, if I have any issues, I can abort my takeoff if I need to. Can I look backwards here? Oops. Yeah, nice. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm not able to use my track IR because that's what's filming me up here. Hello. On my phone. So I needed my iPad for my ForeFlight here. Just need to get another camera, I think. Hey, cool. Guys, we're ready to take off. So let's make a quick call. And we're going to be departing to the west. Kind of northwest, but we'll just say west.
Kilo Echo Delta November traffic Cessna Whiskey Oscar, Lima Oscar, 5-1 taking off runway 23 west departure.
All right, cool. Now we can get into the meat and potatoes of flying instruments, all right? So what I need to do here, since we have the runway to ourselves, we'll just kind of set up on the runway and get ready. What we're going to be doing is a diverse departure here. So we have to basically make sure we can climb out at 200 feet per minute, 200 feet per nautical mile. So that's a little bit more than 200 feet per minute. There's a good chart in the terminal procedures guide in the back that'll show you exactly your climb rate. But today 700 is definitely going to be more than sufficient for us. I also have to get to 400 feet AGL before I can start turning on course. So for us, that's going to be about 760 MSL is what we'll call it. We'll also get a height AGL here on ForeFlight, so we'll get some good SA. So look at all that crap we're taking off into. It's not looking good. Probably wouldn't take off into that, given that there's lightning and possibility of a wind shear. So we're probably going to get banged around a little bit here, but that's cool. We're in the flight simulator, so I'm not worried about it. Oh yeah, look at that. Coming right at us. Okay, no problem. All right, so my compass is indicating correctly, both compasses. We're looking good, so as soon as we go full throttle here, we'll be looking for engine oil temperature and pressure to go into the green and make sure our airspeed comes alive, and then we'll take off. All right, here we go. Full throttle. Controlling my heading with the pedals. Be looking for 55 knots for rotate speed. Staying right down the middle of the runway. Airspeed's alive, oil temperature, oil pressure in the green, 50 knots, there's 55, rotating. Gently pull back on the yoke, and then I'm already adjusting my trim. Going to be looking for 80 knots for our best rate of climb airspeed. I don't really need to use best angle because I'm already over any obstacles that may have been in my way. And again, we were looking for 760. So a lot of times you might already be in the soup at this point, right? There's 760, I'm going to go ahead and turn right. So what I'm going to do is get on, oh, hey, check this out. So I'm going to just come inside at this point. So you should be basically inside when you're flying instruments, all right? You should be inside the whole time. As soon as you punch into the clouds, and really even before that, get inside on your instruments, because as soon as we go into the clouds, we're not going to have any vertical reference, all right? And that's not going to be good if we're looking outside. So now you can see I have my blue needle here, all right? The blue needle is pointing to the ADF. So I'm going to P-sync my heading here, and we're going to go ahead and couple up to the autopilot. So now autopilot is flying the current heading. I'm going to adjust that a little bit to the right. It's climbing us at, should be targeting 700 feet per minute. That's this little cyan bug right here. That's the reference that it's set in. And then 900, that's our current vertical speed. It's coming down a little bit. Maintaining our airspeed at about 90 knots. That's good. Maybe we can go nose up a little bit, but I don't want to go too much nose up because eventually we're going to be, oops, I didn't mean to do that. There we go. Cool. So now you can see on our airplane, we're heading direct for that boll weevil NDB. Now the next heading we're going to want after that, from BVG to TOI, is going to be 349, all right? But we have to make sure we're using these needles to navigate us, all right? So I can even hit ADF here. You can hear this Morse code. Oh, this one. Listen to it. Okay, so that is the Morse code for BVG, which is the identifier for this NDB. All right, we're coming up on it pretty quick. Now we really need to tune up Karen's approach here and let them know that we're climbing out. Contact Karen's departure.
Karen's departure, Cessna Whiskey Oscar, Lima Oscar 51, is passing 2,700 feet, climbing 4,000 feet.
Cessna Whiskey Oscar, Lima Oscar 51, Karen's departure altimeter 30.10, continue as planned.
Okay, so she said continue as planned. Sounds good. So we're almost to the NDB here, and then I'm going to move my heading bug to a 349, and I'm also going to do one other thing. So you can see we're in what we call the cone of confusion. This needle is starting to get wonky on us, right? We're about to fly right over the NDB. And we'll call that station passage as soon as it flips around behind us. So 349 heading. And I'm going to tap and start a clock here. Now why did I start a clock? Well, let's level off and I'll show you why. So we're at 80 knots right now. I'm going to turn this ADF on because I don't want to turn that off. I don't want to hear that anymore. So we're at 80 knots, perfect BY airspeed. It's climbing up to 3,700, up to 4,000. We're looking good. We already made contact with approach. Now, you're going to see there's a little differentiation here on this screen. I don't know why, but Microsoft Flight Simulator wouldn't let me go direct to the boll weevil NDB. It's making me go to Routel and all this crap, so I'm not doing any of that. I'm just going to go direct to Troy, so ATC might yell at me, but that's okay. All right, and now let's go to PFD. Let's see what our winds are like here. Oh, we got a tailwind. Good. All right, if we look outside, oh yeah, look at this. It's starting to get real hazy. We're about to go into the soup. It'll be raining a little bit, so we're just going to pretend we didn't even look outside. So now we're leveled off at about 4,000 feet. A few things we need to do when we level off. We need to adjust our mixture. So we'll pull this back until we get maximum RPM. And we're looking for the highest RPM we can get until pull this back nice and slow. There we go, about 2680 was the highest we had, so I pushed it back in about an inch, 690. And now I'll pull back my throttle to a cruise airspeed, all right? Just the bottom of that little green area, oops. Just the bottom of the green, maybe at the top of the white arc. That should be pretty sufficient. Okay, so why did I start a clock there at the ADF? Well, here's why. I have no idea where I'm at on this route. I know that I'm tracking the ADF outbound, all right? Let's see, the tail of the needle is right about at a 349, which is what I planned. See that? It's actually just to the left a little bit, so I could probably come left just a little bit. Give this a little more juice here. There we go. I want the tail of that needle to be right on a 349. So I'll push the head, pull the tail. Actually, I need to come to the right a little bit. So So I'm moving my heading bug just a little bit to the right to pull the tail of that needle directly to a 349. That's where I want it, right? Plus or minus 5 degrees is really our standard. But a NDB, right, non-directional beacon, all it gives you is this little arrow. That's it. So it doesn't give you a radial to tune to like the Enterprise VOR does, all right? We probably could have tracked the VOR outbound and that would have been fine too, but ADF doesn't give you that. It just gives you a needle. It's an automatic direction finder and it's just pointing to that NDB. Well, I need to know where to cross over between these two NDBs, all right? And so for that, I need to know what my ground speed is. So talk about airspeeds real quick. Right here, it says my indicated airspeed is about 95 knots. Are we holding altitude here? Looks like we climbed up a little bit. May have caught an updraft. All right, yeah, we should be on altitude hold. Okay, hopefully that fixes itself here soon. Now my true airspeed is reading 114 knots, right? It's about 10 knots higher than that. So there's a couple reasons for that. First of all, we have about a 10 knot tailwind, but we're also at 4,000 feet, right? So we have true airspeed working for us. Let's see. Usually about 2 knots for every 1,000 feet we add to our indicated airspeed. That'll give us our true airspeed, right? But we also have this 9 knot tailwind. So I'm going to guess our ground speed without looking is probably going to be more like 120. So look at that, boom, 120 knots. And that is matching up with what ForeFlight says, right? At the bottom here, you can see my ground speed. So now, 120 knots is my ground speed. I need to pull up my E6B. And I'm going to set it at 120 knots right there. Now, for this leg, it says it's 30 nautical miles from Bullweevil to the Troy NDB, right? So if my airspeed is at 120, I can read distance on the outer ring. I'm going to find 30 right at the bottom here, and that says 15 minutes. Right underneath that, it's going to take 15 minutes. So I want half of that. My time right now is at 5:08 at the bottom corner there. You can see on the what I said on ForeFlight. So when it gets to 7:30, I'm going to change the frequency that's in my ADF here. So I can go ahead and preload it. The Bullweevil, the Blood NDB TOI is going to be 365. That's going to be the new frequency. So let's change that. Whoops. .365. Okay, enter, and then enter to transfer. So as soon as my clock hits 7:30, I'll swap that over. I got a minute and a half.
You are 21 miles south. Maintain present heading and altitude. Expect ILS runway 7 approach via Blood transition. Clear to Blood.
Clear direct Blood. Awesome.
Cessna Oscar 51, you are 21 miles south of Troy. Contact Troy Tower on 124.3 when inbound.
Okay.
Tower on 124.3 Cessna Oscar 51.
All right, so I'm tuning in 124.3. And she said when inbound, contact Troy Tower on 124.3. Now I'll tell you what else I'm going to do. All right, we got a minute left to go. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and load up my approach here, procedure, approach, and ILS 7. And I'm going to go ahead and put, let's see, 124.3 for the tower. The ground control is 121.9. I'm going to put that down here, 121.9. That'll be in my COM 2. And I'll go ahead and transfer that because I don't need anything else. Actually, there's one other thing I need, and that's the ATIS, 120925. All right, let's go ahead and listen to that. COM 2.
Troy Airport information, Whiskey 1600 Zulu. Wind 182 at 11. Visibility 10 in heavy rain. Sky condition.
I'm going to mute that for just a second. We're coming up to 7:23. There's 7:30. Enter to transfer, and watch what happens. Boop. So you see what just happened? My needle was pointing behind us. Now it's pointing dead ahead. Now I need to push the head, pull the tail. So I am, according to this, I am left of course. I'm going to move my heading bug a little bit. Push this to the right. The heading bug is to the right of the tip of the needle. That means it's going to push it over to a 349, right? I want to push that head over. Don't need this anymore. Let's go ahead and get that ATIS.
Troy Airport information, Whiskey 1600 Zulu. Wind 182 at 10. Visibility 10 in heavy rain. Sky condition 1,900 feet, scattered ceiling 5,000 feet broken. Temperature 27. 2.10. Altimeter 30.05. ILS runway 7 in use. Landing and departing runway 14. VFR aircraft say direction of flight. All aircraft read back hold short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact you have whiskey.
Cool, we got whiskey. All right, and now I'm going to swap that back over so I have ground control on COM 2, so that's already ready to go. And then I'll go ahead and go put tower. They told me to just put tower in there, so good to go. Let's see. So now let's get set up for this ILS. So we're inbound, heading to Blood. And right about now, let's see, 349. I'm pushing the head of my needle over to a 349. What happened to my flight plan here? I must have hit direct 2 again. Let's go direct 2 here. All right. So you see I'm getting back on course here, right? The wind's pushing me a little bit to the left. Now I can go ahead and set my heading over to that 349. Well, actually, still kind of struggling. We'll just keep pushing it over. Now it says here that I need to do a holding pattern, holding in lieu of a procedure turn. All right. So in order to do this, as soon as I hit the Troy NDB, I'm going to need to go outbound. Let's see if I can draw this out. So as soon as I cross this, I'm going to head outbound, and I'm going to intercept this outbound leg, and then follow it back in, and set myself up for the approach. All right. So this outbound heading right here is going to be 30 degrees more than the outbound heading that's listed. So I'm going to need to go to a 284 and follow this, track this outbound for about a minute before I turn inbound and get set up for the approach. She said, what was the last instructions from? I think she said I could call tower. Let me just call tower real quick. This isn't really how this would work in real life.
Troy Tower, Cessna Whiskey Oscar, Lima Oscar, 511 3 miles south inbound ILS runway 7 approach.
Cessna Whiskey Oscar, Lima Oscar, 51 Troy Tower. Altimeter 30.07, wind 182 at 10. Cleared ILS runway 7 approach.
Cleared ILS runway 7 approach, Cessna Oscar 51.
Okay, so we're clear for the approach. Now, once I'm cleared and I'm established on course, I can descend. All right. But I'm not established on course yet. I still got a little ways to go. Established on course would be the 074, plus or minus 5 degrees. Okay, well, 073 is close enough, I guess. Anyhow, you can see this arrow is pointing to a 073. That's the landing direction I need to be going, but I'm still well south of that course, right? So that's why this little bar right here, this is called the course deviation indicator. It's way up to the, if I kind of turn my head, it's off to the left, right? Meaning that I am right of course. My course is out that way. So that's good. I'm heading towards it, all right? And once we hit the Troy NDB, we're going to start descending, and it says here, to 1,900 feet. All right, so I can actually go ahead and preload that into my altitude. We'll do vertical speed, and then as soon as we hit that, I'll bump that down, and we'll start our descent. As we do our descent, we're going to start adding in our mixture little by little until we get below 3,000 feet. We'll be full rich. All right. So I'll need to be ready to start a clock here. And I don't know why I can't change my course here. It's kind of weird. I should be able to do that, no problem. I wonder. I see that's changing. Let's switch it back here. Huh, weird. Okay, so as I look up top my active nav frequency 108.9, that's the ITOI. That's what we had here, right? Looks good. And then if I turn on nav 1, you can hear that Morse code, right? So we've tuned and identified that nav aid. We made sure it's good to go. And we got our ATIS information. We're coming up quickly to the blood NDB. Now we also have a glide slope indicator. Here's our glide slope indicator with the G. This little diamond is down below. That indicates that the glide slope is below us. All right. So I'm going to manually fly this approach. We'll see how I do. Typically, if we pull out power, I'm going to pull power out to about 1800 RPM and see what that gives us. I want to establish about a 500 foot per minute rate of descent. Usually based on ground speed that we're at right now, that'll keep us pretty close to being on the glide slope. And now that heading is right at about a 349, our NDB needle. So we're looking good. We were a little off to the side of the line that I drew here. I actually had to redraw that line from a direct 2. But we pretty much maintained our course, right, plus or minus 5 degrees the whole way here. All right, as soon as we cross over the blood NDB, we'll see this needle flip around to the side. We'll hit that cone of confusion. As soon as it flips around behind us, I'll move my heading bug to a 284 for the outbound, right? Currently we're on a 342, so I'm going to need to move it pretty significantly to the left. We're getting close. According to ForeFlight, we're getting close. We should start to see our needle flip here any second. Starting to move, we're entering the cone of confusion. Sometimes you're going to fly right over top of it and it'll flip around real quick, but typically you'll be just slightly off to the left or right. In this case, we're off to the left a little bit, and the NDB is actually flying out our right door here. That noise you're hearing is for the outer marker, I believe. Yeah, outer marker. All right, we're at the cone of confusion. We're going to go ahead and move our heading left 284. While I'm doing that, I'll start my clock. There's 284. Okay. Thank you, outer marker. I don't really use the outer markers anymore, but they used to have to use those to confirm their position on an ILS. Now I can also put up, let's see, bearing 2. And this is giving me a DME to the Troy localizer. All right, it's 6.4 DME out. DME stands for distance measuring equipment. All right, and actually, I can just turn all this off. I can just turn DME and put it to nav 1, and there you see 6.8 nautical miles. That's the frequency it's currently coupled to, right up here, 108.9. All right, how are we doing on time? 58 seconds. Boom, look at that. So let's start turning our heading inbound. Just get this going a little bit, and then I'm going to start my descent here as well. Technically I should be, where do I need to be before I can descend? Well, it says no, 2,100 feet, so we could be down as low as 2,100 feet and still be okay right now. Pull back on power a little bit. I don't want to get too fast. Let's continue our turn. So I'm using heading to initiate this turn, but once I get pretty close to, or at least once I get this arrow for my localizer above the 9 o'clock position, I can actually tune up to nav. So watch this. So I just changed my roll source to localizer, right? I use nav, and current nav source is the localizer. So now the airplane is going to intercept that inbound course for me. I'll be good to go. Let's really get some nose down here. Let's start descending. By the time we get to that Troy NDB again, really want to be at 1,900 feet. So I'm going to slow back a lot. We're below 3,000 feet. I'm going to add my mixture all the way back in here. So you see how this course deviation indicator is coming in? That is a good sign. And if I'm at 1,900 feet, by the time I hit the Troy NDB, actually should intercept the glide slope just slightly prior to that. So very soon here, you're going to see this little, here it comes, this little diamond is going to come up. And once that gets in the middle, I'll know I'm on glide slope. All right, and I'm really just going to be using my throttle to maintain.
Cessna Oscar 51, wind 182 at 11. Cleared to land runway 7.
Cool, clear to land, thank you.
Clear to land runway 7 Cessna
There's that
Oscar
marker
51.
again. So I'm going to continue adding throttle in. Oops, maybe not yet. I need to get that, wait till that glide slope comes in. Once I get on the glide slope though, oh, actually I got altitude, hold on. Here, let me pull that off. How do I turn that off? Where's my altitude? Off, go away. All right, so I'm going to need to push this down a little bit. Got to get back on that glide slope. Now you can see in the synthetic vision, I have the airfield up there. Here comes the glide slope, and once I get on it, I want to adjust my throttle to maintain about a 500 foot per minute rate of descent, and that's going to keep me looking good. So I'm going to adjust my trim here a little bit. I need some significant nose low trim. Come on, baby. All right, there's my glide slope. Now my decision altitude here is going to be 635. So once I get to 635 on my altitude, that's when I know I gotta be able to see the runway from there on out. So we'll take it down to 635. I'm just going to completely uncouple here. So for my roll, I'm making sure I'm on with the my course deviation indicator here, and then for my pitch, I really just want to set my airspeed at about 100 knots. The trim's not cooperating with me right now. Yeah, no autopilot. There we go.
500.
So we're looking good. I'll actually let it slow down a little bit. I can get into my white arc, start adding flaps. And we're getting glide slopes going below us here. So there is a way to have the autopilot do this for you. It makes it a lot easier. Add another notch of flaps. Coming up to my 635. I'll let the glide slope get underneath me here. There's 635, so now I'm looking out. Hey, and there's my airfield. Awesome. So now I can just fly it visually, and I am no longer flying IFR. Now I'm completely VFR. But if you don't break out, then you'd have to do a missed approach. That kind of sucks. So I'm at about 65 knots. I'm going to go ahead and cut my throttle right about here. And we'll get down to just a couple feet off the runway. Start flaring. Flare, flare. Let it sink down a little bit. There's my sink.
Stall
Oh yeah. Flaps are out. And brakes. Oops.
Cessna Oscar 51.
All right, well, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you learned a little bit today about IFR flying, how some of those nav aids work, and how to use a glass cockpit, and a little bit about IFR flight in general. It's always nice to have a coupled aircraft that can fly those things for you. As you can see, it can get really busy, and there's a lot of stuff happening. It's actually really hard to do all that and try to talk at the same time. So please like, share, and subscribe this video, and hopefully we can get to 1,000 subscribers soon. I'll tell you all about the Snak pack story. All right, until then, thanks for watching. Have a good one.